Hey everybody, haven't really put out any YouTube, just finally started putting out 20 minutes with Bridget again on Patreon and some other things. Um, I have some health talks that I'm giving online to some of my closest clients and friends that I'm going to record. Those will go up on Patreon. Just so many people just don't understand anything really about health. And it's just frustrating. And some of these people have worked on for over 20 years, and they're just finally starting to expand enough to, I think, take in the information, even though it's been repeated and repeated. But anyway, so I'm excited about that. Something else I was like thinking about, I was a friend of mine's into watching the reruns of Deal or No Deal like 15 years ago. And I was watching an episode yesterday and I realized like they've been using actors, like in a lot of these false flags, you see actors, these people that like, five people or, they've been at five different, major shooting events, nightclub events, bombings. I'm not saying that people don't die during these false flags. They have to, because it's also ritualistic blood sacrifice, but they're very going to be specific about the people who are going to be killed. It's war is ritualistic, sacrifice, right? Because you signed on something and then you go to, you know, shoot other people and so you get shot. So it's just all ritualistic. Anyway, I was blown away about how there was this the episode. So this is just the episode was it was on one where there was two people and and I don't want to get totally like into it, but I realized like, oh my God, these are actors. So Deal or No Deal had actors. I wonder how many people actually were real that played, that got money. But if you think about it, why wouldn't you hire actors to play roles, even whole families that show up, to support them? And I just, it was like a whole family that weren't real family members. It was too perfect. Like the family was too perfect, that everybody was like too perfect. And then there was one guy who was supposed to be one of the husbands that just really, he was really cute, but he had no idea really how, to play the persona. So, or what was going on. Anyway, it was totally just the most bizarre thing. And then I was thinking, well, like maybe they hire a lot of actors for a lot of these game shows. And especially, they would train them, like in the answers that were going to be the answers to the questions or blah, blah, this or blah, blah, that. And then they would always be the one that would win like the large amounts, which meant that they were just going to get paid to be an actor. They weren't going to be able getting a monster amount. And then the game show and the people and the company kept, a major amount of the money, right? So, this is just kind of something I was thinking about is what if, they've been using actors for a long time on all these, television shows, like even the games and stuff like that, that you've been addicted to. What if it's just all been fake? I mean, I've been realizing that for the last 10 years that, um, you know, the Toltecs call it, I think, the matote, the smoky mirror. And it's just another dream. So just like you're sleeping and you're dreaming, you're awake, you're in just a different consciousness, but you're also dreaming. And so it's not real. And if they fabricate, even personalities like on a game show or whole families or groups of people, it makes people actually kind of, they get addicted to watching those people's personalities and behaviors. And so people start adopting them, which, is a whole other crazy function. So, human being is, basically what we've come into, we've boiled down to is a complete and utter fabrication of something or someone, behavior, personality that was demonstrated to us. And the thing is like what really sinks down deep in the human psyche is a lot of this subconscious, patterning, which comes through the left hemisphere. And then systems start to pattern over that without having a vocabulary, a dialogue. There's no languaging to go along with it, but it's like or um you get addicted to some girl who's a raunchy prostitute on TV, and it isn't so much what she says, but it's what she does and how her actions play out. And then you can even mimic. And this has actually happened to me when I was in Canada for a while, when I was up there for a while. And when I would go up there 4 times a year to work on people, this is like 20 years ago, and I would be there for like half a month. And in one case I was there for 3 months over the winter, but I ended up picking up kind of the Canadian accent. It's really funny. If I try to do it right now, I wouldn't be able to do it. But when I'd come home, like I had this, totally Canadian accent, and everybody was just like, and I realized like, back then that I was like mimicking. And it's amazing at like how our brains work and what they pick up, and how different what they pick up is affecting you and is affecting your reality and the persona and behaviors that you're playing out, the food you eat, what you wear, what you dress. And then you have these, companies that are all owned basically, all the companies. I was in a grocery store once and a clerk said to me, it's about 2 companies that own everything in the United States. And you can dial it down to the people who own Pepsi and the people that own Coke, but they all own, between them both, they all own the pesticide makers and companies. They own all the chemical stuff. So, then they actually create revenue because they're the ones that put it out in your reality, your taste, your likes, your behavior, your feelings, and everything else. And then they give you and make you pay for the stuff that fits into that reality that you're craving or that you're addicted to. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. It was kind of a deep rabbit hole that I went down. And because the question keeps coming up with some of my friends who are super brilliant and intelligent from all walks, legal and chemistry, and how do we shift people out of that so they can really get their brains working together, and open up those energies. And because even your structure in your body will start to replicate, because it's part of the design when you're a kid. Survival is everything, so conscious and subconscious, right? Things, that behaviors that you're picking up by seeing, by feeling, and that would be like kind of more of the right hemisphere. So that's why, when people continue to get, for me, like in diagnosis, part of the work that I do, that's why if I see replicated patterns in the structure or how the bodies hold themselves, is usually identical to the parents. And so then you have to figure out, well, what is that unvocal behavior? What was that thing that they learned, and who was the originator of it? Who started doing it? Oh, maybe the great grandmother. And then it's just gotten more and more extreme as, for example, some of the women in my family were just really appropriate, like my grandmother, and just the way that she would cross her legs, and sit. And so you pick up those, kinds of behaviors. It's been really hard to actually untrain some of those behaviors, because a lot of them go back to like potty training, especially with the pubic area, birth, and all of that. But for me, you know, adopting more of a, not Hindu, but, you know, more of a type of yoga type seating where, you know, I prefer to like sit on a floor, stretching on the floor. I feel better, you know. And it takes a long time to change, you know, the muscle tissues and structures of those areas for me anyway, and adopt a new kind of peaceful, grounded, you know, sitting style. So, all right, anyway, so, you know, pay attention, like, you know, or is what you're seeing outside of yourself real or is it not real? And how do you plug into your real, you know, and start creating a life of the real, right? So I hope that made sense. But anyway, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project.